Hi, and welcome back to our special show on women in politics on today's International Women's Day. She's a woman that defied all odds. She was first elected into Parliament in 1997 as the member for Moresby South and retired from politics in the 2012 elections.
And with a career that spans 3 consecutive parliamentary terms, Dame Carol Kidu has been a key influence behind a number of significant legislative and policy reforms and an advocate for greater involvement of women in national decision-making and political participation.
She joins us tonight. Dame Carol, good to see you again. As we celebrate International Women's Day, the playing field right now is still uneven in terms of women's participation in politics and parliament. We'll get to that shortly, but first, let's take a look at your history.
I came from a lower middle class Australian family. We were not poor, but we were not rich. You know, Mum and Dad they struggled to get us educated. They had a great compassion for others. So they set an environment I grew up in that developed a social conscience in me.
What brought you to Papua New Guinea?
Love. I fell in love when I was sweet 16 and never been kissed. I was grade 11 in high school and I met a young man who was on a colonial scholarship at Toowoomba Grammar.
The young man was Buri Kidu, who was to become Sir Buri, the first Papua New Guinean Chief Justice.
We married when we were in university.
And how was it?
Hard. Yeah, no other word for it. It was hard.
I take pride in the fact that our judiciary is probably one of the most independent judiciaries in the world.
He was a romantic, but not a romantic. He was very pragmatic, and he said to me, Carol, if we're going to marry, because I pushed the issue, don't ask me to choose between you and my people, because I'll choose my people. So I came knowing that. I had to make some adjustments. I feel very privileged. I feel very enriched for have made the effort to live deeply in another culture and learn from it.
In 1994, Sir Buri Kidu died.
Papua New Guinea lost a very great man when they lost him, when he died of a heart attack.
A few years later, Dame Carol entered politics and was elected member for Port Moresby South, the family constituency.
Dame Carol, we'll get straight into it. What prompted you to enter politics originally?
I was never interested in politics. I had never voted until I voted for myself, but it was my husband's death. After he was not reappointed to the judiciary, there was a lot of pressure on him to stand for politics, and then he suddenly died. And I knew I could not be him, but I hoped that I could stand for some of the things that he stood for.
Dame Carol, were you ever worried about being an outsider and contesting elections, given the popular saying that blood is thicker than water, which is something that holds true very much for Papua New Guinea?
Lobby at the moment, lobby outside everlasting. Lobby negadaudo herian seninano. I don't see myself as an outsider, and if others do, well then that's their problem, not mine. Yeah.
What about in Parliament? It's very much a boys' club. Did you ever feel intimidated?
No, and we could possibly put that to the fact that I grew up in a family that was equality and social conscious. I was aware of, I knew, in Papua New Guinea, it was not seen as an appropriate thing, particularly for a widow. Some people said, Vabu bina bomna basnekara, a widow should not go into these things. But once in there, I had a job I wanted to do. I had a very clear vision of what I wanted to try to achieve, and I wanted to be a parliamentarian, a legislator, a policy maker, and in my own electorate work programs, invisible things, but programs that could impact the lives of people. I wasn't into building buildings, I was into building people. Yeah.
Did you feel that ultimately you had achieved some of your original goals that you set out
Oh,
to?
definitely, although some people would deny it, yes. I set out to work in the area of early childhood. I set out to work in the area of education for the marginalised, because when I went into politics there was still very much a push-out system where people were being dropped from the system. I went in for issues of marginalisation of people by gender identity, sexuality, by all sorts of things that I left till my last term in politics because they are so sensitive in Papua New Guinea. I knew what I wanted to do. I did what I could. I achieved some of them, some I didn't achieve, but I achieved other things that I had not set out to do.
Back then, did you have a positive reception from other women who saw you wanting to go into politics?
Probably varied. I didn't focus on women and women's vote. I focused on the family unit and society and community. So, you know, it didn't worry me, really, because I think the family unit is the most important thing in Papua New Guinea. And relationships, and I built my campaigns around relationships, family relationships, friendship relationships, all of those things. And, yeah, so the issue of women and everything, no. I mean, if some women didn't like it, well, that's their right. Yeah.
We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll talk more with Dame Carol on the 22 reserved seats. Stay with us.